There's a moment that happens to a lot of buyers touring Avenir. They walk through some of the larger, flashier homes first, and they're impressed. But then they get to Windgate, and suddenly the conversation changes. Because instead of saying, wow, this is huge, they start saying, I could actually see us living here. And that's why Windgate has quietly become one of the communities people keep circling back to once they start seriously looking at Avenir. Because it hits a balance that's actually very hard to find right now. The first thing that stands out about Windgate is that it feels livable immediately. Not just beautiful, not just new, actually livable. Built by Toll Brothers, the homes here tend to focus heavily on functionality, flow, open living, everyday comfort, and honestly, that matters more than people expect once they start touring homes at this level. Because there's a difference between a home that looks impressive for an hour and a home that genuinely makes your day-to-day life easier. Windgate leans hard into that second category. This is one of the communities in Avenir where families tend to emotionally connect very quickly, and it usually comes down to one thing: the homes feel usable, the layouts make sense. You can immediately picture kids coming in from school, family dinners, hosting friends, weekend mornings, everyday routines. Nothing feels overly formal. Nothing feels like it was designed just to photograph well. It feels like a place where people actually live comfortably. And for relocating families especially, that's powerful. Because when you're moving from another state, you're not just buying square footage, you're trying to picture your next chapter of life. Quick question. When you walk through a home, what matters more to you? Being impressed or immediately feeling comfortable there? Because those are usually very different communities. One of the reasons Windgate is gaining so much traction is because it avoids extremes. It doesn't feel too oversized, too formal, too overwhelming, but it also doesn't feel basic. You still get newer luxury construction, strong curb appeal, modern layouts, open kitchens, indoor-outdoor living, and a polished overall feel. So buyers end up in this really interesting position where they feel like they're getting the luxury lifestyle they wanted without the excess they may not actually need. And honestly, that's where a lot of smart buyers end up landing after touring multiple sections of Avenir. Now layer in where Windgate sits inside Avenir itself. Avenir already has a huge advantage because of where the entire development is headed. You've got town center development coming, restaurants and retail, medical offices, a hospital, continued infrastructure growth. This place is evolving into its own destination, and Windgate sits in a really attractive position inside all of that. It feels connected, accessible, easy, and for families especially, ease matters. The easier daily life feels, the happier people usually are long term. If you were relocating to Palm Beach Gardens, would you want the most impressive house possible, or the community that feels easiest to actually live in every day? I think that answer says a lot about where people end up being happiest. Here's what I think really happens with Windgate. People don't always expect it to become their favorite community, but after they tour everything else, they keep thinking about it because it feels approachable in the best possible way. It gives buyers luxury, comfort, practicality, and strong everyday livability without feeling overcomplicated. And honestly, communities that strike that balance usually age really well over time. If you're trying to figure out which community inside Avenir actually fits your lifestyle, reach out to me directly because every section feels different once you really understand how people live their day to day. And if you want more honest breakdowns on the communities, builders, lifestyle, and what actually matters before buying in Avenir, make sure you're subscribed because I'm covering all of them in detail.